Sister Bobs, get your hair. We got a problem.
What do we got?
We have exorcisms.
How sweet.
Mm.
If you want
I
to try,
thought it was exercise, so I'm dressed strangely, but don't worry about that.
no, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
active.
Yeah, just follow Father Angie. Just call me Daddy if you need to.
I got a new incantation we want to try out.
Excellent.
Sister Bobby
Okay.
and Daddy Angie.
Yes, demon. They know we're coming.
And 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2.
I'm gonna let you handle this with you.
No, he's not.
Sister Bob, you've got it wrong.
Enter me.
We're casting out.
And 1, and 2, and squat, and squat, and
She's jazzercising.
Oh.
the
Yeah.
joke is I'm exercising while you're exercising. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, jazzercise. Because you were...
I'm going back to hell.
You know, that's probably best. Bye, Becky. Hope you come back for the podcast.
Okay.
In the next room, we have Brother Chris.
I'm gonna touch his penis.
He seems normal, but Sister Bob, stay back.
I'm gonna show you how to exercise some spirits. Ooh woo.
How are you today, Chris?
I was better before Bobby threatened to touch my penis,
It's not a threat.
which is an aggressive.
That's something a demon would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never said I wasn't possessed. That's you just assuming.
I meant Chris, not you, but
Oh.
now I'm nervous. You know,
Should
I'm just
be.
going to lock you in here with him.
That's fair.
Okay. Good luck, Chris.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
We're gonna get sued by Disney.
This is how we get
Stop.
DCA.
None of what she's singing are the words, so it's okay.
No.
It's just what everybody assumes is how the beginning
Demons
goes.
in you, the demons inside you. I guess I'll get some exercise then since I'm dressed.
Brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today to cast out these demons.
That's right.
Yeah, we're talking about possession.
Welcome to the podcast.
What are we fucking
Are
anime
we on
characters?
Rastas? Bobby, you're the only one not rhyming.
I
with us.
know. What is happening?
I'm fucking
Ties.
tired. Fuck you. I had to work
All
12
he does
hours.
is get sexually aggressive with Chris when he's tired.
Yes. Morland's not here,
Which
so
is terrifying.
I'm not gonna fuck you, Chris. You're not my type.
I could take you, so no.
That sounded so dirty out of context. I can take you.
Yeah.
So welcome to this week's episode. It's going to be about exorcism and jazzercise in a surprising turn of events.
They intersect.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but I'm picturing it. It's kind of
It
funny.
is kind of like physically strenuous to
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah, I've
with
always
an O.
said I'm way too fat and out of shape to be possessed. I
Hey.
can't crawl across the ceiling.
A jazzercism, if you will.
Yes. Yeah,
How about a jizzercism instead?
that's probably a porn.
Every
The
time.
jizzercism.
Guaranteed.
But yeah,
porn.
I mean, do you feel like you're in enough shape to like spider walk?
No, I can't
Yeah.
even do it with gravity holding
Yeah.
me correctly.
We're gonna let Reagan do that. I mean, I could pee in the floor. I mean,
I don't want that. That's
but
no.
I don't want to, because then who's gonna clean it up? Me.
The cat.
No, she.
She absolutely will not.
Lick it up.
No.
The cat's gonna walk around and look at you like you're a dick.
Yeah. Boo decided that her cat food, the stinky, needed to be spread all throughout the house.
Ugh.
Yeah,
It was a little rough yesterday.
It was really rough.
I'm out. That's gross.
So you just get to find cat food places.
Yeah. Oh God, and it's like the really fresh, like shrimp and tuna,
Oof. Have fun with that.
mackerel. You know, I found out there's no such fish as a sardine. It's all like pieces of other little fish packed together.
It's like a hot dog.
Yeah. but
Speaking of
fish.
sardines, exorcisms?
Exorcisms. Yeah, you got to work on this.
That's Italian, Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
We're there.
Yeah.
Like pieces of people that get possessed.
The
It's like
island
pieces
of
of fish.
Sardinia.
Yeah.
We're there.
Where people are packed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, demons are packed in.
Wow.
We've
I
made a
didn't give
full
you enough
rotation.
credit, Becky.
Are we
They
3
really had
minutes
you
into
back.
this podcast and we've talked about nothing
We're
but
like-
sardines?
We're 8 minutes. in.
Okay, good to
I'm-
know.
I'm trying to bring it back to the.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so a lot of people, when I say exorcisms, what do you think? Catholic church, priest, head spinning around, pea soup kind of thing?
Girl shoving a cross in her vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying very blasphemous words
Yeah.
that I was attracted to as a kid. We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk
You're like, this is my sexual awakening. The possessed girl throwing up pea soup. I'm about
she
this
was
life.
masturbating. It was very confusing. Anyway,
That's fair.
we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, please, let's not.
Confused sexuality. Okay, anyways, it's probably because I'm possessed.
Probably.
Yeah, did my head spin around? It did.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you think about Roman Catholics and priests and stuff like that. However, exorcisms are notated in all religions, even pagan rituals to cast out evil and bad spirits. So, and did you guys know Mother Teresa herself underwent an exorcism?
Interesting.
I did see that in
Yeah.
the Wikipedias when I was like,
Yeah.
doing my research, and I was like, Mother Teresa.
It kind of explains why she was such a cunt.
Yeah, she was not a good
Yeah,
person.
No, she was not.
So, I had this idea that Mother Teresa was graceful and benevolent, and no, she was horrible. And it kind of makes sense if later in life they have to exorcise a demon from her.
Well, she also had this weird idea that watching people suffer would get her closer to the Lord.
Yeah.
But she never, she had all this money, but she would never, donate it to the people. She
Mm-hmm.
would just go to these places where people were dying horrifically and just watch them.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh,
I think she just got off
She wouldn't
on
even
it.
really let you caretake them. No,
She
because
just
they
wanted to
needed
see
to
it.
suffer.
Yeah.
It brings you closer to God to suffer.
Yeah. And it's like, huh,
Yeah.
that's an aggressive stance that people
Yeah.
seem to be
I feel
okay
like
with.
I feel like if I'm suffering, it would not bring me closer to God. I'd be like, you're a fucker.
Same thing
Thanks,
with
God.
Gandhi. Like, Gandhi wouldn't allow anybody else to have modern medicine, but when he got sick, give
no,
me the antibiotics.
No, God was a cunt too.
Yeah. I was really disappointed by the both of them.
Yep.
Propaganda.
There's a YouTuber named Bailey Sarian, and she's always like, you gotta pick better role models. Now she's the one who's does
Right.
the nay we say,
Yeah.
but she was like, we gotta pick better role models, people.
That's why Lucifer's my role model.
It's like what's the old pinup calendar girl, the Dom
Betty.
Uh,
Betty Page.
Yeah, Betty Page. She was a killer. She was a murderer.
Was she really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Betty Page. Anyway,
She died not too long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
early 2000s in California.
In
she had
jail.
some serious mental
She was not in
issues.
jail.
Oh, fair.
She was just at
Yeah.
her
She-
house.
To me, she's scary because she developed late adult onset schizophrenia. That's why she murdered. But it was just
Well,
or a
that's-
demon.
That's sort of my thing though with when it comes to exorcisms. They've talked about it for years. They've talked, it's been around forever. But most of it is most likely
Mental illness.
mental illness.
But there have been a few over the course of history that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's a demon. There are a couple of examples we'll talk about today, but usually what people used to think was demonic, movements was epilepsy, and schizophrenia, things you couldn't
Tourette's.
explain. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine, suddenly your 6-year-old is like, fuck me, where did she even hear this language? I've never understood that about Tourette's. How do they learn that language? There was a study done where they took kids who were diagnosed with these different diseases, like when they were young. They hadn't heard any of this language. And then when they're Tourette's, they're saying all these horrific things that they never heard. They wouldn't even know these words. Where did they learn them?
Demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Demons.
I just sometimes
Something's whispering in your ear.
Well, sometimes I think
Hey.
that kids absorb more what they hear their parents say than we
Absolutely.
necessarily think initially.
Yeah, but kids raised in a lab. I'm talking like these kids were not at home. They were raised in a lab. This was back when
We're genetic.
you weren't allowed to do that.
We're genetically predisposed to know cuss
well,
words.
I mean, there was this thing that anything any of our ancestors knew is in our DNA. That
It's
we
true.
are a hive mind. We just have to unlock it.
We're definitely. I think so. I think that there's a lot of contention. I mean, think about our fear of fire, fear of dark, fear of
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And
That's innate.
Fear of evil spirits, because that is also innate.
Yes.
What lives in the dark? Evil spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're Christian, even in the Bible, evil spirits are cast out. Jesus cast out. Judas was said to have willingly sold himself to Satan and become possessed.
I mean, I would too. You
So-
got that money. You got that sweat.
Jen read 40.
40
I
pieces
mean,
of
they
silver?
said. I think it's mentioned in the Bible that King Saul was fighting off an evil spirit. That I mean,
Yeah,
it's
he was
biblically
attacked.
mentioned a lot. That or not mentioned a lot, but there are references in the Bible regarding demonic possession or what
Yeah.
is alluded to be a demonic possession.
Well, and there's a strong correlation between girls coming into womanhood and how chaotic their bodies are,
True.
and the fact that spirits can easily come in. So, there was one case here in the U.S. that you look at it to me and what is it? just because of the pictures and stuff that were taken and the accounts by the nuns and priests, multiple accounts, people in the town. She was given a pseudonym, Anna Euclid, but her name was Emma Schmidt. She was born overseas, raised in Massachusetts, and when she was 14, she started demonstrating signs that she was possessed. This was the early 1900s. And she started knowing she was highly sexual. She knew things she shouldn't know at 14, especially, think back then. So to me, I'm like, her dad did something.
Yeah.
Her mother had died. I'm like, yeah. There's only one way a young girl with a single father, but notably her aunt was a witch.
Oh.
So they're saying that, one of the theories, and what she had said, especially under possession when the demons spoke through her, was that her father had made advances towards her, and her aunt would drug her and put her under like a form of hypnosis so her dad could do stuff to her.
Oh my God.
And under this state of hypnosis is when the demons were able to enter. Like, even the Bible warns against meditative states, and like Buddhists are very careful when you calm yourself to this extent because something else can come in. Oh, funny enough, the founder of the Church of Latter-day Saints said the same thing, that when Jesus visited him in his first vision, that when he opened himself to that vision, something else tried to take over.
Oh, it was Joseph Smith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I feel like I read something that basically said there was a light and a darkness, and it was like he almost had
and
to.
the darkness was there, and it was incredibly powerful and felt like it promised so much stuff, but it was a devastating power, but it was beyond any power he felt, including the light, which I always thought was interesting. But the light's got to come from further away, I guess.
Always look at. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily even it's got to come further away. I think it's we're more drawn to the chaos and the ability to destroy than we are to the calm and the serene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, going to the beach is nice. It's super chill. A lot of people go to monster truck rallies, and because it is chaotic, because it's just destruction, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And I think we as humans are more drawn to that aspects of ourselves rather than we are to the resolute, the calm, the serene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's part of all of us, but I think it's just way more fun to give into the crazy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, so she started being hypersexual, saying things she couldn't step in a church without like being in severe pain. So they call this priest, and he performs an exorcism and frees her. She also has to have one like in her early 20s. And then after her dad dies, and then she feels like she's free, but she says she still feels something, but she was passable, so to speak. And one of the ways they determined she was possessed was, so the priest, in order to verify possession, because she is young, and think of the Salem witchcraft trials and stuff, they are prone to imagination. So he would trick her. He would take holy water, put it on her food, and she would know.
Yeah,
so
she
he
would need
took
it.
tap water and was like, let's just see. And he wouldn't tell her that he had put water on it. So he would do the tap water. Holy water she didn't know was on there. Tap water, she would see the sprinkle. She never reacted to these things. And she would always react to the actual spiritual items. So he ascertained, yes, she's possessed. They performed the exorcism. It took a while. She was fine going to church. She was like, blessed be, da-da-da. Her father and her aunt die, and then in her later years, suddenly she's afflicted again. And she calls the same priest. She was like, they're back. It's really bad this time. It's way worse than it was when I was a kid. And so the priest comes over, and he assesses her and says, I can't handle this on my own. This is heavy duty.
Got to call in the Church Avengers.
Yeah. So he called up a friend of his, and it was like, I need help. And he was like, hey, bring her out here to Idaho. I think it was Idaho. Iowa, one of those. Probably Idaho.
One of those.
Idaho,
Yeah.
you get it, she was possessed. Anyways, there was a nunnery out there. So he was like, bring her here. It's kind of out of the way. She won't get publicity and stuff. People won't hear her. They bring her out there. And her first night, one of the nuns, because she had said, I just want to be treated respectfully and please don't antagonize a demon. She gets there, and nun's like, this bitch, I'm going to put some holy water on her food. Sprinkles it, boom, instant chaos. A demon comes out like, you motherfuckers. We had a deal. Probably pissed her off too, I think, is why it escalated so violently. But she, the demon, to punish them, and the girl, makes her vomit 27 times in a day. And when she vomits, it's not food because she's not eating. she's vomiting up like tobacco.
Yeah, leaves, like
Oof.
actual
Yeah.
tobacco leaves, which is confusing as shit.
Yeah, and like they said in the writing that it's just the most vile stuff. It's never really said, but she like also shits the same
Oh,
stuff.
God,
God.
I'm out.
And it's
That's gross.
beyond what a human could actually do, is what it says. Like, there's no way she could have done this. And then at one point, she is on the bed. She's unconscious. The demon's out. Like, for the first, 4 days of the exorcism, she's unconscious after this. And then she suddenly wakes up, and she leaps up into the corner of the room, and she just hangs there. Now, imagine if Chris is just suddenly in the corner of that room. And remember, it's a nunnery, so it's probably pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just levitating there, like shitting and vomiting on them.
God, it's so disgusting.
Okay, I'll be honest. It's kind of funny to me. But
That's nasty as
there
fuck.
were a
I'm
couple of
out.
nuns who were like, you know what? We need to leave. We got to
Yeah,
go.
they legit took off.
Yeah. So they transferred with or without church consent. And the priest was like, I think you should go somewhere else. And the guy was like, nope, you consented to it and we're here. We promised this girl we'd help her. So she starts yowling and hissing like a cat and making these noises that the town, I mean, picture like from here to, say, White Oak, like the neighborhood, 2 streets over. Like, just being able to hear her, she's so loud, and they're reporting to the sheriff, like, hey, there's something going on at the nunnery. I think we got a real problem. Well, they finally get to the demons inside of her, and one of them is Judas, where she says, I'm Judas. And, my dad, and then it's like, her father's in here because he's the one who cursed her, sold her. And it's weird, like, apparently they had promised her to Satan if the wife would die so he could be with the aunt. Like, it's not a lot. Like, we don't know all this for a fact.
Right.
But this is what the demonic story was. Notoriously liars, really can't believe them, but she herself had said some of these things to the priest. Well, they end up getting some of the demons out. She says their names, they're leaving her. And then she's like, blessed be Jesus Christ. It took 31 days.
Sheesh.
But she said, I still feel them in here, but I can manage them for the rest of my life. She died in 1941 or so. And she did stay anonymous for a long time, but it's hard to be anonymous when the nuns are leaving saying,
Right.
okay.
There's something going on. Well,
Yeah.
and it's about
Like,
that.
too many people saw stuff. Like, there was a laundress who would have to clean up after her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she came in, and one time Emma was just, like, on the door frame. And as she came in, she just leapt on her and vomited. Like, I might forget you levitating, but I'm not going to forget you vomiting bullshit on
Well,
me.
you-
I'm not gonna forget you levitating.
Well, literally about, if that's like in the 40s, late 40s is when the whole Roland Doe, Ronnie Mannheim story occurs.
So after this one, it came to be more acceptable in the Americas because we really hadn't had much to do with it at this point. But then, and it's Roland Doe, but we know his real name now. I just can't remember.
I think they do now, but
It's like Reginald something.
yeah, but he always went by like Robbie Mannheim. They were able to hunt him down in his late 70s, and he did not want anything to do with anybody.
No, would you?
No, but the thing is,
Like, talking about it gives things power. So, I think if you're possessed, it probably leaves an imprint.
well, and it's
Probably.
that story, which it was the story that inspired The Exorcist. If anybody doesn't know who he is, he was the guy who his aunt, funny enough, also was really into like the occult and all of that, and so she brought a Ouija board over.
Spinster ants.
I mean, you got to watch out for them.
God, that's me.
Yeah.
A
You
possessed
do have
nephews.
you have owned an Ouija board before.
One that
Yeah.
never leaves.
It's back. Did I tell you that, Bobby? It came back.
I've also hidden another one in here somewhere.
Nice.
Great.
Well, at least now we know you hit it.
You fucking bring
Not
that.
that one. I didn't know that one was there.
No, but his story is, in my opinion, it's different because a lot of it was the priests and Jesuits were allegedly documenting what was happening. Like, he had words like hell showing up on his body, and
Like multiple times a day.
multiple times a day he was cussing. He had superhuman strength, but there
And for both of them, speaking in languages they had no way of knowing.
There was the critics for the one involving Roland Doe state that what they think that it was happening is that he was hearing the clergy saying these words in Latin and then was just repeating them back at him.
So what about the Finnish, Danish, Turkish words he was speaking?
There was here's the thing. They said there's nothing that, all of that stuff, it's only accounts that were considered hearsay. There wasn't any sort of confirmed accounts. And the priest that actually wrote it basically declined to talk about it, saying, hey, listen, this is what I was told happened, and this is what I saw, but you know, the things showing up on his chest and all of that, there was some eyewitnesses that said he was carving it into himself.
Oh.
So I don't necessarily disbelieve that demonic possession can happen, but a lot of these stories, like I think like Amityville Horror, like they're perpetuated with the idea of fame, and that's what you get with a lot of priests too, is that it's all about the money. Because hey, you have this huge demonic possession, you have cast out all of these demons from this human, and I mean that's a big deal for
Except
some.
your main character was like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Well, here's the thing with most of these serious exorcisms, the church keeps it as quiet as possible and tries not to bring any
and
attention to
perpetuate
it.
what you just said
Yeah.
to make it seem.
They just keep everything quiet.
Well, I think that a lot, but here's the thing: a lot of times now, I mean, modern day Catholicism, they say we don't necessarily think it's demonic possession at first. You need to go get
So here's
a
the thing.
psychiatric evaluation and find out if it's mental illness first, because of the stuff that has happened in the past.
Oh yeah.
They
yeah.
amended the rules in 1999 to change what qualifies somebody to receive an exorcism, because the requests for exorcisms went so high in the mid to late 90s because of
Satanic panic.
well, that and a lot of it was drugs. A lot of parents seeing their kids strung out on drugs assume that it can't be drugs, it's got to be demonic possession. So the church made it where you have to have psych evals, medical evals, you need to get CAT scans, body scans, MRIs.
Right.
Well, they'll even talk about perhaps doing an
And
Exorcism.
modern medicine now can account for a lot more mental illness like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, because you have
All the epileptic forms.
right, like because you can like the account of like Annalise Michel from Germany. Her whole thing, you know,
Oh, yeah.
those are things that you have to start taking into account because
here's
of what
the thing.
happened.
Even with Annalise Michel in Germany, she went to neurologists. She had MRIs done. They put her on antipsychotics, anti-epileptics, and none of it worked. She still saw what she said were demonic faces. She still said she smelled what was basically burning poop, burning fecal matter when she would have these episodes. There was a point in her life when she was at university. She was walking with her boyfriend type guy. His name was Peter. They're walking through a park. She falls down on her knees. She's out for 10 minutes. Doesn't see anything, nothing. When she wakes up, she says she saw the Virgin Mary and said she's going to be free of the demons for a few weeks, which is awesome in her case because she's been tormented for years. He takes her to the doctor right then. They run MRIs. They say nothing strange shows up. I mean, like literally no versions of her brain are strange. They said she maybe has some weird brain waves. That's it. They put her, she's already been given antipsychotics, anti-epileptics. They give her some more. None of that works. So, like, I think her case is one of the more odd ones, where she's the Annalise Michel is what the Exorcism of Emily Rose, if you've ever seen it, was based off of. Her parents and the priest were found guilty of basically involuntary manslaughter, which that case is really tough for me to tolerate. Because they have recordings of her, they have her going to doctors repeatedly. They have the priest, the church, her parents sending her to doctors repeatedly, and nothing's working. And she believes she's possessed. She says it's the only
And
way that'll
she's
help.
refusing to eat.
Yeah,
Snatching the like feeding tubes out of herself.
Yeah,
Like
she's-
what do you do?
you don't.
Yeah, and they can't afford to send her. They sent her off at one point,
Yeah.
but they couldn't afford to keep her there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always had a hard time with that as well.
That's the one where I'm like, that fucking sucks. And even if it was mental illness, it's hard for me to justify finding the parents and the priest guilty of trying to help her when they didn't do anything wrong. I don't think they did anything
I think
wrong.
that they ended up finding them. They gave him 3 years probation
Yeah.
because in Germany there's a law that allows that you can, instead of getting a jail sentence, you can have something where you've suffered enough, and therefore, you know, what you get is a suspended jail sentence with some probation.
Yeah, but even then, they were still found guilty of killing that girl when, had they done nothing, she still would have died. When all they did was try to help a girl who, of all the possessions they talk about, hers is the one I think is probably the most likely actually a possession.
Yeah.
And even the church, I mean, the thing is, like, they put all these rules in place, not because they were doing just these willy-nilly exorcisms. Even when there weren't these stringent rules about going to the doctor and stuff, it was still a rare thing that the church accepted an exorcism. They gave permission to the priest. You had to if you were a priest that wanted an exorcism in someone in your parish, you had to go talk to your bishop, who then had to ask for permission from the Vatican.
And there were 3 priests who were in agreement. that
Yeah.
She's
Well,
possessed.
yeah.
They stayed there 24 hours a day around shifts trying to help her.
Yeah, the Annalise Michelle one's the one that I'm like, son of a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to tolerate. And another thing I think people get wrong about demon possession is we have this thing where we assume the person is lying or whatever because of the demon, but there's this weird thing where if you speak to the... I don't think demons can lie. I think they have to tell the truth. So, like, when you ask them their name, I think they have to give it to you whether they want to or not. I think part of it is if you believe in angels and demons, if you believe demons are fallen angels, angels can't lie. That's part of the whole thing. If they're not allowed to lie, I think they can only make us lie.
Well, you know,
Like we're
exorcism
puppets.
means binding oath.
Yeah.
Like, they have to tell you. They have to answer you.
Yes,
They
I-
can fight answering you.
I don't think they get to lie, though. That's
Yeah.
the thing, is I think they have to tell the truth. So I think part of it is forcing them to tell
Yeah.
the truth. Whether they want to or not, I think they have to.
Yeah, and it's like the whole thing, the truth you don't want to hear. Like,
I just think that it's interesting though, because really, if you look at it, the only thing that only sect of religion that really has an organized ideal of doing an exorcism is the Catholic Church. Protestants pretty much reject the idea of the idea of doing an exorcism.
Fucking Protestants,
the
man.
Buddhists, the Hindus, they all have exorcism.
But they're not.
rituals.
It's not this. It's not
So,
an organized
it is-
statute
here's
in
the
which
thing.
you do stuff.
It wasn't for years, even within the Catholic Church, until I think the mid 1600s. Any person that believed in Jesus was able to do an exorcism because basically that's what you're doing. You're casting out
Yeah.
the evil spirits in Jesus' name.
And
that's
the
how it
Catholic
works.
Church still has the 2 separate forms. There's the formal one that the priests do, but anybody can say the catechisms.
Oh yeah, and there's the simple possession that you can have, and then there's a more complex hierarchy of
There's
possession.
the minor exorcism,
Right.
Which is not necessarily if you believe there's a demon, but you believe they're being
Influence.
by demonic.
Like, not everybody's going to be possessed by a Beelzebub, but if you are,
Yeah.
you're going to be a dramatic, possession.
Well, and I think that's why they have it as such a rare occurrence. I think it has to be the right person in the right place with them being able to step across whatever boundaries they have to step across to enter a human being, as whether demons, bad spirits, whatever you want to call them. I think it's got to be... I think it's way more rare than people think. Like, way, way more rare. Like, if you think it's, one every 100,000 people, it's probably one every 100 million.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's because it's such an outlier of something that occurs. Like, you think about it. I mean, you're interpreting the idea that there's some sort of, honestly, a westernized Christian version of a demonic possession happening, and that you have to have somebody use the power of Jesus to take him out or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's such a rarity to hear stuff like that it would make sense that it wouldn't be something you would see
Well,
all the time.
and I wonder if it's not necessarily Jesus or specifically Jesus. I think it's just whatever holy, religious, greater spirit there may be. I think that's what it is.
I know
Right,
from
just calling on the higher power. Yeah,
Yes.
get the hell out of
Oh, I
here.
know for the Catholic version, it's because they call on Jesus because Jesus in the Bible did
Yeah.
dispel
Well,
demons.
he cast
I
the
guess.
demons from the pig.
Right.
When he cast the demon from the pig, the demon came out, and his words were, "I am legion, for we are many." And then the pig went in the water and drowned.
Yeah, the whole herd of them.
Yeah,
Like,
they
not
all
just the one. They all were
yeah.
like...
I am legion, for
And
we
when you
are
think
many.
about pig, it's going to be a wild boar in that area.
Yeah.
And those things are vicious as fuck. Yeah.
I mean, in Islam, we have the jinn, which they believe
Yeah.
are the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that.
spirit.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
it's just different words for the.
And
evil
also, the
spirits.
Islam has a practice for exercising
But, I mean-
the jinn.
Gins are fucking scary, yo. Those things are terrifying.
I think
I'm out.
they're
Yeah.
scarier to me than any sort of demon.
Okay, what if y'all, thinking about the people who are possessed, what if it's not so much as something going in you, but bringing out something already there? Like, when you think about how Christianity talked about, the fallen angels mated with women and formed the Nephilim, what if a descendant of those, just kind of...
Fucked around.
Yeah, and it's in the bloodline.
It's in their genome.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking earlier about it's in our DNA. What if?
It's possible.
I mean, there may be people that are predisposed to that sort of thing. I don't know if it's like the fallen line of Cain or whatever. If we're going by Bible, which is normally when you talk about exorcisms, we're going biblical.
Yeah.
I don't know if you consider it like the descendants of Cain or the Nephilim or the in Genesis when the sons of God saw the daughters of man and found them beautiful.
And more angels fell.
Yeah, and then they mated, and then the Nephilim were born, or
Hey, I got a penis.
the Titans
You
of
got a
old, men of
vagina.
renown.
So I always wondered this: why do demons go after okay, they go after kids and pigs and whatnot. Why not try to possess someone influential and try
Maybe
to cause
they
real
have.
yeah
So-
cause
How
like
would
real
we know?
chaos?
I don't think so. Here's the thing: I think real demon possession isn't something hideable. It's not something controllable in that fashion. Like we see the movie version of the devil in a badass
Yeah.
suit, influencing people. I'm not sure demonic possession is that. I don't think it's to where these people can control it and be in public with people there's something terribly wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think I think you're still you in there, but
Yeah.
you don't have control.
Yeah, no. So what I'm
you're trying to fight it.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, if a demon, send up a powerful demon comes up, and possess some influential, and then just start a nuclear war, then it's just fun.
I mean, that's what the Wicked and Divine, the graphic novel, is about.
I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's sort of what they are possessed by angels and demons.
I don't think it's controllable. in
I
that
don't.
fashion.
And
Yeah.
here's, I mean, I guess the context of it is who can be influenced.
Fair.
Maybe not necessarily somebody who who really cares to be influenced is going to be influenced.
Fair.
And I mean, to me, it always 9 out of 10 times I think it's going to be a mental health issue regardless. So
I think way more than that. I think it's probably 100,000 out of 100,001.
yeah.
It's a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of sad because it's now such a modern thing to be able to diagnose that. But even now, half the time you don't know what. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we were talking about Annalise Michel, but at the same time, some of these disorders that have just popped up in the last 10 years, they've existed for forever, but they've now just found a way to deal with it.
Well,
Yeah.
so, and even then, you look at stuff that we're dealing with now, we're not really dealing with 99% of mental health problems. We're just masking them.
They were placating it.
Yeah, that's really all they're doing. They're not solving anything.
No.
They're giving you a drug that will either turn it off or just tone it down. But that's not a solution. If you have a broken radio, turning it down doesn't fix a broken radio. It just means you get to ignore it a lot more.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think about the parasites that invade ladybugs and stuff and make them do what they want to do. That's probably our parasite. What's
Sure.
the thing that could control people?
It makes me think of the Animorphs. Because they used to have the
Oh,
little
yeah.
yerks that can come into your body and through your ear and it would control
Yeah.
you.
I mean, just because we can't explain it, and we're kind of
But we can put a word to anything, but it doesn't mean that's what it is.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the thing, is we have vocabulary to describe almost everything, but that doesn't mean it's right or the right way to
Well,
describe
and
it.
it falls down into a theory of what it could be, and a theory is never a proven fact. That's
Yeah.
the difference between a fact and a theory. So, I mean, that's why
Yeah.
some people who are atheists just straight up believe it's mental illness, and that's what it is.
But if you can show me how schizophrenia can make you levitate
Yeah,
and hang
I'm
on the
on board.
ceiling, sure,
But
I'll believe it.
Think about it.
But until then,
But what
that's
if
fucking
some
demon.
of these mental disorders we haven't been able to really look at? What if it unlocks part of our brain that allows us to do that?
Yeah.
Like
Like,
super sanity.
While you're
Or
vomiting 27 times a day,
I mean,
factually,
our brains are the weirdest computer systems.
yeah, I know, and they can, if they're computers, then they have users, and I could log onto your computer and use it.
Ma'am, I keep that 2-factor authentication pretty tight. I get
Yeah.
a little notification.
So maybe you're one of the people who wouldn't get possessed because you're
Yeah.
smart enough not to. But say I don't have to party, and I step away from my computer, and a demon's like, huh,
going on Pornhub.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and
no,
I
that's
don't,
me.
I don't think they have to possess you, or they're even necessarily looking to possess somebody at all points. If you
Just
believe
whispering
in
in your
demons,
ear, hey.
I think they do it when they can because they can.
Yeah.
It's one of those chaotic evil
Yeah.
things where if I want to do it, I'm just going to do
Well,
it.
okay.
The end.
I want to play devil's advocate a little
Eh.
bit.
Kill me. I'm
But
done.
What if we talk about the influence of demonic possession, but what if some of it is also the influence of what we're experiencing? So a lot of times in Pentecostal churches, you hear people who say when they're in that moment,
Yeah.
it's
Speaking in tongues.
You're speaking
Yeah.
in tongues, but then it's suddenly your brain goes back to normal, and you're like, okay, maybe what I was feeling was the energy around me, like the people around me sort of
Yeah,
putting that
influencing
in
you,
there.
yeah.
So you think about it, if you have like 6 Jesuit priests around you who are yelling at you that you go away, Satan, blah, 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 and you are already in that sort of influential mindset, you may start exhibiting the symptoms that these people have said you have.
Or maybe your true nature comes out.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be bulimic. That would not be my true nature. I'd want to come out or shitting on myself.
Now, don't get me wrong.
So you're saying it's a choice then? So you don't want to be. So I'm just going to choose to do it.
Well, I'm just not that I'm saying you choose to do it, but sometimes when you have that attention on you and stuff like that, maybe that's what part of it is. I'm not saying that it couldn't be demonic possession, but I also think at the same time, there's a lot about the human mind that we just don't understand as it is. And some of it may be attributable to stuff like that.
So I'll just say that, like, Annalise Michelle starving herself to death is pretty good dedication to living the lie.
Well, if she has significant mental health issues, I mean,
But your survival instinct would kick in.
Yeah, I
she
mean-
was 68 pounds for
Yeah.
no reason other than
she
her
just
choice.
Could not
Yeah.
eat.
well, and here's
She
the
would try.
Yeah.
She just couldn't keep
Here's
it.
the thing. I see mental health a lot.
Yeah,
I see it especially in kids.
Oh, absolutely.
And undiagnosed, and you can't diagnose them. You can't diagnose a 14-year-old with schizophrenia. You just can't. There's no way to do it. But you would be shocked at the things these kids, like, you would just say, why wouldn't you do this? I just can't. There's part of me that just says I can't do it.
So I'll give it to you in, like, preteens and stuff. She was, like, 27. Like, she
Yeah,
wasn't
she wasn't a
14.
kid.
But that's
She had
when,
been through university.
But that's when
She was-
people get diagnosed with schizophrenia. That's the age most women
Except
get
she wasn't.
diagnosed.
She went through all the tests.
Yeah,
She
they
wasn't.
tried to find anything wrong with her. She's the one of all of them that have happened that there's actual records of that I'm like, that fucking sucks. She's the one that I think was real. The rest of them, take it or leave it, believe whatever you want to believe. Hers is the one I'm like, this just sucks.
And I think you're actually taking. So you say you're playing devil's advocate, but I think playing devil's advocate is actually being
The
the devil's advocate and being
Yeah.
like demonic possession.
Well,
could
no,
be
I'm
real.
saying, I mean, you guys are that, the devil's advocate being like, here's the contradictory idea of maybe what it could be. But
So,
Yeah.
and I take that with, and that's how I look at everything because I'm naturally skeptical. I want to see if there's a scientific reason behind it. I want to hear
Like
it.
I said, show me a reason why somebody's levitating.
I'm
I'll
on
buy
board.
it. I'll believe
Yeah.
it.
I would just
But
love
if
to be
you
able to
can't-
levitate. That would just be so cool.
Let me tell you, if I levitated, I
See-
would probably think some.
She seemed pretty
Yeah.
unpleased with it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
It's not a good time.
Yeah.
She didn't
It's
seem
like
as much
something
fun
very
as you think.
unnatural. I would be like, hey, look at me.
And it said her face would distort and swell like 10 times its
And-
normal size. Like she. I believe in Annalise Michelle and I believe Emma Schmidt because there's just so many documentation and pictures and
And the one
stories
that,
that are exactly the same. And these people like fled.
yeah, and the
They
one
ended
that
up closing down that monastery.
the one demon that they both had in common was Judas Iscariot.
So Judas is a cunt.
And they both
That's
couldn't
true.
eat.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. His sin, so to speak, was greed,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean they just couldn't keep anything.
Yeah.
It's just so it's tragic. And it took them 31 days, and I was like, not 40, because that would have been very biblical.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, like,
No, they had a month. They got a month.
Yeah.
I just think there are, and I don't know if the demons or spirits or forces or whatever you want to call them, that I think can screw with us occasionally, but I think it has to be the really perfect circumstances
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and maybe you have to have whatever wiring in your brain wrong to
Yeah.
accept them in, or for them to be able to step across that barrier. I don't know. I have no
Well,
idea.
I think we just can't see these things. They're probably there. Like, what do cats stare at in corners? like, holy shit, there's something there.
Well,
What
we-
do birds look at?
we know there's a whole spectrum of light we
We
can't
can't
see.
see, like, physically.
Like, that's just part of it.
So I'm going to devil's advocate. You're devil's advocate.
Okay.
What happens? What if demons specifically target the mentally ill because they can't really do anything? People are just like, oh, they're just crazy.
The rare double devil.
Yeah, the
I
double,
thought about that.
the daily double.
I'm just.
Like, why do schizophrenics all see evil violence?
Yeah.
Like, why?
I
Yeah,
think-
Becky.
Why not just...
How about that now?
So I think part of that is our nature. I think that's what I
I,
was saying.
I was
like
about to say. I feel like that's just. I mean, we have what the id, ego, and
But not all
superhero.
schizophrenics.
Here's
There was this lady on TikTok. Let me tell this
Okay.
one. And she was like, so I was at the supermarket today, And the lady behind me kept rushing me to get my groceries up on the belt. She was like, so finally I had enough to turn around, like, what is your problem? She's like, there's nobody there. Fuck schizophrenia.
Oh, awkward.
So why not more of that?
I don't want to like get philosophical. That's sort of well, you know what? This is a good time to get philosophical.
This is
I
a
think.
philosophical.
I was
time.
gonna say, let's take out this whole idea of like good and evil for a second, okay?
Sure.
Our nature is naturally chaotic.
Yeah.
Why do we think that laws exist? What is the reason for a law to exist? It's to ensure that if somebody breaks the law, they are punished.
Yeah.
Because the idea of punishment is scary to a lot of people. But if absent of law, what would we be doing? Killing the shit out of each other.
So here's the thing. I don't think, and I think we're looking at it wrong. I don't think we're naturally chaotic. I think we're naturally tribal. I think that's how we evolved, and that's how we grew as human beings. Like, my tribe has to kill your tribe, and if you don't, your tribe is liable to kill mine.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think it's, and we're looking at it in these weird terms of good or evil or chaos or lawful good or whatever. I think it's just tribalism.
Well, and that's sort of my thing. The absence of the idea of good or evil. Like, people think that certain are going to war with somebody is because what? They're evil.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, their belief is that we are evil. So, who is right? There is no right answer to that. So, my thought process is a lot of times these ideas of us being violent and being like that, it's just our nature. It's not necessarily a good or evil issue. We all say we're good, but what makes us good?
Well, Anne Rice, in her book Memnoch the Devil, when Lestat goes down and talks to Lucifer,
Yeah.
Lucifer's like, who decreed I was evil? And what
Exactly.
makes evil? Like, I'm probably good because I punish people into...
Well, I was about to say, think about Lucifer.
Deliver.
The idea that in Christianity, he's evil because what? He contradicted God. But
Yeah.
God,
So he asked the question, like, but why?
but why? But
Yeah.
why are we
Why
doing
would
this?
you create these things just to punish them every
Yeah.
day?
Right. And so what happened? You questioned me. Therefore, now you are bad.
So he's like, you know what? They really need to have knowledge in the choice.
So we're gonna get into a weird part of Christian mythology and explain what they're talking about. So what eventually happened was Lucifer, who that is not his name. Lucifer is the name he was given upon falling from heaven, the bright morning star, whatever you want to call him. I don't know what his real name is biblically,
I think we talked about it in our Lucifer episode.
Yeah.
So go back to that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the story was he basically questioned God.
Yeah.
He questioned
Exactly.
why are you above us, the angels, whatever? Why do we have to worship the way we worship? And he led 2/3 of the angels in an uprising. They were cast out of heaven, cast down to earth, where this is kind of where their
And
realm
keep in mind,
now.
this is 2/3.
Yeah.
2/3 of your
66.6%.
angelic population said, you know what? You got a point.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying he was right or wrong. I don't get into all that because
That's your belief.
Yeah,
like
it's
that
whatever.
you want to interpret
Yeah.
it that as that's the wrong thing to do because God is almighty and omnipotent and we need to not question him. That's your thing.
Yeah.
it's whatever. But where he was giving dominion over the man and beasts of earth, sure, whatever. But I think that is, and that's what I was saying is I don't think we look at them as demons. I think they're just fallen angels. I think they are doing whatever they want to do while they can, because if you believe in that story specifically, they're going to lose. Like, this is a limited run they get. So
Right.
just fucking do whatever you want.
It's a fire sale.
Pretty much.
Yep.
But that is, and I think part of that is the demons and the pigs, is they have power over the men and beasts of this earth. I don't think they have power over all of them. I just don't think that's how it works. I don't think everyone can be possessed. I don't think everyone has the capability or the right wavelength or...
Well, do you remember even in the Bible, a tree was